Good evening, everybody. Welcome to episode 24 of the SMB Talks. As you all know, I started this show when the pandemic kicked in, and the sole purpose of this show was to meet inspiring folks who are doing a fantastic work in their respective fields. So, we all are very, very fortunate folks, right? Because most of us, we don't have to worry about where is our next meal coming from, right? I'm a foodie. I eat a lot of food, and I never care about what I'm going to eat for dinner. I just pick up either my wife cooks or I just pick up app like Swiggy and order. But there are a lot of people, when you look about the state of hunger across the globe, there are a lot of people who sleep hungry every night. So I did a quick Google search today, and I got the number was around 690 million folks sleeping hungry every night across the globe. Mind-boggling, right? So that's why when I was doing research on the subject, I came across an inspiring, awesome person. She is the founder of Cooks Who Feed. It's none other than Seema Sanghavi. She has started this amazing concept or amazing product she has got. They create aprons that empower food lovers to take action towards a hunger-free world. That's their motto. That's their mission, to empower food lovers to take action towards a hunger-free world. How cool is that, right? Their vision is to create a hunger-free world following the most sustainable ways, right? Their goal is to provide 1 million meals per year. That is 10,000 aprons, right? So why I wanted to meet her was I found it very, very unique because for every apron sold, food waste is rescued and used to provide 100 nutritious meals, right? They fulfill this promise through their charity partners who recover fresh surplus food to protect the environment and provide immediate hunger relief, right? So there's a lot of social fact element to their business, and I would love to hear all about it. Cooks Who Feed has collaborated with several celebrity chefs like Chef Art Smith, Chef Christine Cushing, Chef Devan Rajkumar, and more. So, without further ado, let's meet the person behind it. Hey, Seema, welcome to SMB Talks.
Thanks for having me. I realize
Right.
it's evening for you.
Yes, it's 8:30 p.m. here in India.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. It's morning here. I'm in Toronto, in Canada, so it's morning, still very much the morning here.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you so much for accepting my invite and taking time out for this. So, as I was mentioning, I started the show to just meet people like you, and listen to your story and the kind of work you guys do and all that. So, thank you so much for being here. So, what I've done is I have curated a set of questions, 10 to 13 questions about cooks who feed, about you, the journey, and the future vision, etc., etc. So, if you're ready, I can start shooting them one by one.
Yes, let's start.
All right. So, Seema, when I was doing a little bit research on you, you were a professional in online marketing, product management, project management, etc. From that to a social entrepreneur. How did that happen? Was it intentional, conscious decision, or how was it?
Very intentional. I also, like you, very much a foodie. But growing up, always wanted to do something where I was helping other people, helping less fortunate people.
Right.
Always wanted to do something in that space and have real impact.
Right.
And I've been lucky enough that I've been able to travel and, and I've seen everywhere. It doesn't matter where you are. Hunger is everywhere.
Absolutely.
And it's one of the problems that I believe that we have in this world that we can fix. We can easily fix. Because when you think about it, there's so much food going to waste. So
So true.
that food can be used to feed people. And I think that to be honest, I don't think I was ready to start my own business earlier.
Right.
I mean, my parents immigrated to Canada from India about 50 years ago. They were very concerned that, you need to go to university, get a good education, be a professional.
Right.
So I followed that advice. I think when I was around 10, I told my parents, I'd love to be a chef. But they said, that's a hobby. That's not a job. So, um, but I always thought in the back of my mind, maybe I'll work for an organization that does great things, and that will be the goal. But then as I progressed in my career, I just felt I wasn't satisfied, and I knew I wanted to do something. So Cooks Who Feed started very much as a side hustle while I was still working. And then it got to a point where I had to make a decision, to put in 100% and leave my job, or stop it and just focus on my job. Because I also have 3 little kids, so it was very difficult to manage everything. So last year I decided to quit my job and just focus on this 100%.
Fantastic, fantastic. So it's a unique concept, Cooks Who Feed, right? It's a unique concept, a noble cause. So how did this particular idea originate?
So it actually I started to get the idea a couple of years ago. I was in Delhi and I was visiting this NGO that found and trained women who are looking for opportunity. So,
Right.
Marginalized women who don't usually have the opportunity to work. And one of the things that they were telling me was, you can teach these women so many skills, but it's still difficult for them to find work.
Absolutely.
And that is a huge problem that they were facing. So I thought, well, maybe I can start something and employ these women exclusively. They can become the production side of the business. And I didn't know what I was going to do at that point. And actually, I was on maternity leave when I was there. So I thought, well, I have some time to think about it, because in Canada you have a year off. So that was a long time for me to think about what I was going to do. And I thought it has to be something with food, because that's my passion. And from knowing everything I know about entrepreneurship and people who have started businesses, one of the main things is start something you're passionate about, because there's going to be lots of challenges, lots of long nights, and you want to make sure you're passionate about what you're doing. That's
Right.
what keeps going. So when I started learning about how much food was going to waste, I started just connecting the dots and said, what, we're going to make a product that targets foodies. And I'm going to then share the profits with these great organizations that are actually rescuing the food and feeding people. And so it happened organically over time, but just one by one, step by step, connecting the dots.
Right, right. It has got a social element at various rungs of your organization, empowering women, etc. So we will come to that. So for people who don't know, can you just enlighten them about this amazing concept of Cooks Who Feed?
Sure. So we ethically produce these handcrafted aprons. They're made in India. And every time we sell an apron, we take some of the revenues from those aprons to provide 100 meals. And we do that by partnering with organizations around the globe. So we have right now 3 charity partners that we work with. They rescue surplus food and deliver meals. So every time we sell an apron, I know exactly how much is going to the charity partners. And so it's 1 apron equals 100 meals. And our goal is to get to 1 million meals. So very much a social enterprise. But our mission is to fight hunger. So I wanted to make sure that when you purchased an apron, there was real impact right away, not 1 meal or 2 meals, especially when you're using food waste. There's no cost to produce the food. This is food that already exists. The cost for these organizations is really just in transportation. So their costs are minimal. So it allowed us to still, run a business where we're giving back and having impact.
Right, right, absolutely. So these partners are doing the groundwork. Well, the customers are getting handcrafted aprons, which is good enough for them in that way itself, right? All right. So in 2019, Cooks Who Feed kicked off on Kickstarter, if I'm not wrong, right? How was the response on Kickstarter? Because Kickstarter is predominantly for products which are a little bit techy and fancy and all that. So how was the response on Kickstarter?
It was good. It took a couple of days before we started to see some of they call them backers, people coming in and doing the pre-orders. but we were able to meet our goal. We met our goal on day 28. We set a goal for $13,000, I believe it was $13,000. And that would allow us basically to fund our first production run.
Right.
We launched with just two styles of aprons. So that would allow us, because up until that point, I was really just paying for this on my own. So I thought to do a good amount of inventory, we should do something to help raise the funds. And lucky for us, it worked out. And it's the interesting part of it all is that when I look back at all the people that purchased an apron through Kickstarter, there are people from all over the world, which was so interesting to me. A lot of people from Europe and in the US. And I just thought it's so interesting that this idea has brought people from all over the world, gotten attention from so many people from different corners.
Right. So when people order from various parts of the globe, where is it getting shipped from, the product?
So all of our product is made in India. And then right now we have a warehouse in Toronto, because I'm based in Toronto.
Right.
But most of our sales right now come through Canada and the US.
Okay. All right. So, since you are an expert in this topic, food waste is a topic we all conveniently ignore. Even though we know that we are all part of the issue, we all waste so much of food sometimes. What are your thoughts on food waste issue across the globe?
So, first of all, when I say food waste, I'm actually referring to food that doesn't even make it to the table. So not even
Right.
households. So it's they know that over a third of the food that we produce annually. So we invest in this food. Millions, billions of dollars go into producing this food, water, all these other resources, and it ends up in the landfill. And a lot of the reason is because just maybe it takes too long for it to get transported, and it goes, it expires before it reaches, whether it's the grocery store or the end consumer. A lot of it is also because of what it looks like. Sometimes, especially grocery stores, if it doesn't look like, for example, a perfect carrot, they will put it aside and it ends up in the waste. If they cannot sell something fast enough, if they know, we have too many bananas, okay, we're going to take half of them and throw them in the waste. And the same goes with farmers when they know a lot of their crops, okay, this doesn't look like a perfect potato, I'm going to throw it away. All that, it still has the same nutritional value. When you cook it, no one knows the difference.
Absolutely.
So it's a lot of that food. But it's interesting because I find with every country, it varies on the food level, like where the food waste is happening. So, for example, one of our partners is Feeding India. And most of their food comes from catered events, weddings, all these, social events. They say people order so much catered food, and there's, so much food that's not even touched, and it just goes to waste. So that's their main source of food. And in the US, a lot of the waste comes from restaurants. So food that they prepare but don't serve to customers. So they thought they would sell it, but they don't. So it's all been cut and chopped up, ready to be put into a dish, but then it doesn't end up being, purchased. So they throw it away. So food waste happens at different levels, but it's the fact that so much food, the UN has predicted that we waste so much food that food waste could feed all of the world's hungry 4 times over.
Wow.
So that just goes to tell you, okay, we can solve hunger through this problem of food waste. It's just a matter of getting the food into the hands of people who need it.
Right. All right. At least I have seen some startups in Australia and all who are working, creating a value chain where wasted foods, that remaining food is collected from restaurants and being distributed among people who are, struggling with hunger and things like that. That's fantastic. Right. So for last 2 years, Cooksu Feed has delivered a lot. So can you tell everyone about the impact you could create so far in this journey?
Sure. So the end of this year, we'd be providing a little over 200,000 meals. So we've basically been operating for about a year. So I'm happy with that result. The pandemic has impacted our sales, and we can discuss that later because I know that question's coming up.
Right.
But I feel really good about the impact we've made thus far. Our goal is to get to 1 million a year. So And based on what we see how we're growing, I think I'm confident we will get there.
Right, absolutely. Even I'm confident. 200,000 is not a small number. That's a good enough number to achieve in a year like 2020. That's fantastic. Amazing. All right. So, going forward, your goal is to provide 1 million meals per year. So, how are you and Cooksufi gearing towards the same? What are the challenges you foresee, and how are you going to tackle all that?
Yeah, so when we actually sell our aprons both to retail customers, like customers through our website, but then we also sell to businesses.
Okay.
So that having those two separate streams has really helped us. And we've noticed that obviously I feel like everyone says they're a foodie today, which is great. Because that means more people will buy aprons. So I'm happy about that. I'm happy that, there's so many stores popping up that sell these high-end, gadgets, kitchen gadgets. People love having these things in the kitchen when they cook. And the apron, I find, has been one of the things that hasn't caught up. Like if you look at all these devices, like for example, if you have like a mixie, it used to be white and boring looking. Now you can buy all these fancy ones, $500, $600, the red, pink, but the apron has still been pretty simple. So I'm excited the fact that we were creating these different looking aprons, different colors, trying to bring style to the kitchen, right? You want to, have company and you put on this apron and you look nice, and then you put on this apron and you don't look nice anymore. No, we can make the apron look nice. So I love the fact that in the food scene, this trend is happening. More people are cooking at home now too, because they understand and want to eat healthy. So that has been wonderful as well. From the business side, what's been great is that we're seeing a lot of companies, especially those doing corporate gifting, giving gifts to clients and employees. They want to give something that gives back. So that's been wonderful as well, because we customize these aprons for our business clients. We put their logo on it as well. So having companies wanting to be more socially responsible has helped us as well. So
absolutely.
I think will really help fuel our growth.
Right. Actually, apron is not an easy thing to buy. You don't get good aprons if you have to really look for it. But I cook sometimes, but I love aprons. So whenever you search, it will be generic ones which are bulk produced and it doesn't look nice. So that's good that you have something specialized as well. Right. So eradicating hunger responsibility isn't the only goal you're striving, right? With your NGO partner, you're also empowering women, right? So can you talk a little bit about that angle of the business?
Sure. So when I came up with this idea, I really wanted to make sure we weren't starting something to solve one problem, but adding to other problems. So this is why I said, okay, you know what? We're going to work only with organizations that are rescuing food waste. Then I thought, who's making the aprons? And I thought, well, most kitchen textiles are produced cheaply in factories, whether it be India, China, and that these employees are not probably getting fair wage. So I thought, but there's so many people looking for work, and that's why I went back to the NGO that I originally met and said, let's make the aprons. And luckily, the aprons made sense for them as well, because it's something that is not too difficult to make, right? If you know how to sew, you're taught how to sew, and these women were learning how to use these industrial sewing machines. The complexity of an apron compared to a dress is very minimal.
Right.
So they love the fact that within a few days of training, these ladies were producing, and they felt good about it. So I love that, they were feeling productive right away. And yeah, for me, I'm always looking at how can we improve. How can we make sure we're producing as less waste as possible in our production? Like even in our packaging, we don't use any plastic. All our materials, we don't use polyester or any man-made materials, which is quite common in kitchen textiles. It's usually cotton polyester, like a blend. So we use all cotton, natural, recycled fabrics as well. So I'm always thinking about how can we just do a bit better? And I think all businesses need to do that. I think everyone needs to, like every company needs to look internally and reflect, because you see it too many times now where a company says, okay, we're donating, all this money to this charity, but then what they're doing behind the scenes is a different story. how they're running their business, they're causing other issues. So I think it has to start with how you are running your company.
Right, absolutely. So I can understand that, it's totally it's not only hunger. Every element of your business has a little bit of social impact knitted into it. That's very nice. All right. So when I was looking at Cooks Who Feed, I could see that you have done quite a few celebrity chef collaborations and all that. So how did that happen? And are you planning to get more chefs on board?
Yes. So I came up with the idea of reaching out to chefs because I realized that, because I have an online marketing background, influencer marketing is so big.
Right.
I thought, okay, if I'm just starting, I don't have the money to pay these big influencers to promote what I'm doing.
Right.
So how do I get them to do it? Maybe they'll do it just from the goodness of their heart. Maybe they won't. So I thought, what if I partnered with chefs? If I brought on these chef ambassadors, chefs who have shown that they, care about reducing hunger or reducing food waste.
Right.
Well, initially, I started with some local chefs, like celebrity chefs in Canada, reached out to them and said, I know you are doing this to fight hunger. Would you be interested in this? And really, I just said, you know what, you're just allowing us to create your apron. So you tell us how you want to design it. We'll send you some designs, and the one that you like best, or we can keep, making different versions. But once you like a design, we produce it. All the cost is on us. We just ask you to promote it. So on your social, if you're going to an event, put it on. We want you to talk about it. That's all we asked. So it wasn't too difficult, because if they are passionate about fighting hunger, they were not too reluctant to come on. And so I started with like local celebrity chefs that I knew I could easily access.
Right.
And from there, I started approaching different chefs. So I know you mentioned Chef Art Smith. He's well known I would say in both Canada and US, because he started his career with Oprah Winfrey. So he was on her show, and he's still her personal chef. So a lot of people know him through her.
Right.
But he is very big on hunger. He even has his own foundation to educate youth on how to eat properly, and so everyone can, have the nutrition they need. I also work with Chef Gagan Anand, who is in Bangkok, right? His restaurant is one of the best in the world. And it's funny with him because I actually watched a Netflix episode on him. It's Chef's Plate. So I watch all these shows. One episode was on him and how, he grew up in India and then decided to open up this high-end Indian restaurant in Bangkok. So I just thought, I'm just going to message him on Instagram and see what happens. And I just said, this is what I do. I really am a fan. Would love to make your apron. And he responded and said, sure. So, one word, sure. So we've been lucky. I mean, I've definitely been turned down as well from chefs. But I feel that now, okay, we've got a couple that are very strong. So that's helped us to grow. And yes, I do actually want to grow our product line through more partnerships with chefs.
Fantastic. I'm pretty sure that most of the chefs will say yes to such a good cause, because it's just aprons, and they love aprons and their tools and things like that. It's just a good value addition to their work itself. Fantastic. All right. So, Cooks Who Feed, your charity partners are a very important piece of the puzzle, right? You have several charity partners associated with you. So can you tell a little bit about the kind of charity partners you have and the kind of work they do?
Sure. So I'll start with the one in India. So Feeding India, I think I mentioned, they have been around for many years. They're in almost every major city in India. And most of their food that they collect is from these social events, weddings, birthday parties, any social gathering, catered food. They take it, their priority is focusing on children and also elderly who live in slums.
Right.
But also this year have done a lot to help, the daily wager. They've done a lot of campaigns to support people who rely on, especially during the lockdown. How do you feed people who rely on that, what they're making daily. So what they're doing is great, and they've provided millions of meals. So I wanted to find a partner in India because I think I'm biased, because obviously my background is Indian. I am Indian, but I also know that India has the largest population of hungry people. So So I thought if we're going to have impact, we need to look at where is the biggest problem.
Right.
I also have a partner in the US. I wanted to have a partner in the US because I found out that Americans waste the most food waste per capita.
Okay.
So there's a lot of food going to waste. So there's another problem. So the organization I work with there is called Rescuing Leftover Cuisine. They work a lot with restaurants and cafes. So the food that they're going to throw out, they take that and they give it to like shelters, soup kitchens, school programs. And then my partner in Canada is called Second Harvest. They work with farmers in the big grocery stores. So anything that's going to waste, they take that and deliver it to similar soup kitchens, school programs as well. So the food doesn't go to waste.
Okay. All right. That's fantastic. You have selected the right partners for the job, I believe. They also have the right focus area, which is aligned to.
There's organizations in many countries that do something very similar, rescuing food waste to feed the hungry. And as we grow, I do want to partner with more. I think that's important to have some impact, across the board. I think that's really important. I started with these three because I thought, let's focus on the US with the food waste, with India with the number of hungry people, and then Canada because we're a Canadian-based company, so it just makes sense to find a partner here.
Perfect. So you intend to add more partners on the journey ahead?
Yes, for sure. We are looking at a couple organizations in the UK and in Europe and in Africa. So I think they're definitely there. And what I've noticed when, because I do go to visit these organizations as well and try to volunteer my time and donating, serving the meals. And what I've noticed is that they're so reliant on donations. And it's hard when you're a charity and you rely so much on donations to do your work. So when I said, I'm not giving you a donation. This is something I want you to be part of the business. So, if I sell, 100 aprons, this is how much you're getting. So you can rely on that regularly. It's not something that's seasonal because I know most donations happen around the holiday times. So having this source of income for them that's not seasonal and not reliant on donations,
right.
They really appreciate that model.
Absolutely. It's a win-win model. It's a perfect symbiotic relationship. Absolutely. Right. So we have spoken a lot about the social aspect of cooks who feed, but the one major thing which we have forgotten till now is the product. It's not only about the social impact or empowering, ladies, etc., but it's also about a good product which you have produced, right? So let's talk a little bit about the apron, which comes with a happiness guarantee. So how are these aprons made? What is the happiness guarantee, and what goes into it?
So as I mentioned, they're all handmade in India, and most of our aprons are made using organic cotton canvas. So they're durable. We use different colors. I love the fact that the chefs that we work with, like, for example, Gagan Anand, he has a saying, be a rebel. So on his apron, it says, be a rebel. And we use his restaurant colors. With Chef Art Smith, he is well known for his fried chicken recipe. So he said, could you embroider a chicken on my aprons? I said, of course we can. So they're very, in design and color, they're colorful, they're sturdy. And every apron as well comes with, it's a silk tag that we sew onto every apron, and it just says 1 apron equals 100 meals. So every apron comes with that, regardless of the design. But I think another thing too that people really appreciate is every apron has a hand tag on it, and it's signed by the lady who made your apron, so you know who made your apron. But it also explains the impact. So we kind of tried to make it a bit funny. So it says, you will get the urge to wear this apron as a cape because you've just reduced food waste, provided 100 meals. Plus, you're helping to empower marginalized women in India, and that's really super. So tried to make it a bit funny, but people love that. People love the idea of getting something as a gift, and they can explain the impact right away.
Absolutely. Right. I've seen a picture of some the people who make the apron standing with the apron with saying that I made this apron. That's absolutely a very nice. People know that who is making it and what kind of impact them buying the apron is going to do. That's very nice. All right. So, now I wanna bring some attention to cooks who feed, right? So, how can common people like home chefs or people like me can be part of a noble movement like cooks who feed? Especially home cooks. How can they be part of such a good cause?
So, I mean, obviously getting an apron. So we sell through our website, cookswhofeed.com. We're starting to sell worldwide because we've gotten a lot of requests to do so. So this year we were just selling Canada, US, and in Europe, but now we're opening it up across the board. But also just spreading the word, right? If you get an apron and you love it, share a picture of yourself wearing it. Even if you don't get an apron, share, what we're doing. I think it's all about just sharing the word, right? Maybe you're not a foodie, but you think it's a great idea and you think someone might, want to buy an apron. So even just sharing it, I think it all makes a difference. We're also obviously going into other products as well. So early next year, and we're doing the samples now. We're going to be doing children's aprons because we've learned that children want to be chefs, and now it's become a cool thing to be a chef. So a lot of children want to be chefs. There's a lot of school programs and classes that children can take. So we're making these matching aprons, but in smaller form. So parents can buy one for themselves and for their child and have it match. We're also doing other products like napkins, linen napkins, table covers, the reusable produce bags, because we want to get into the whole basket giving, like gift baskets as well. So because a lot of the companies we work with, they want to provide a whole basket, not just an apron. So providing a whole foodie basket as well with all these different kitchen textiles, and everything will have a give back model trying to fight hunger and food waste.
Right, right. I just finished the latest season of Junior MasterChef Australia, so those kids can maybe get off with such a good apron, right? So fantastic. So guys, whoever is watching this or watch later, check out cookswhofeed.com. Buy an apron for your wife, yourself, gift it to your parents, neighbor, or even you can allow your company organizations to go for corporate gifting options, which they have on their website. Go check it out. All right. So this was not a question in my list, but I wanted to add it at the end moment because I got a fantastic woman entrepreneur in front of me. So I asked, because October on the show was a woman entrepreneurship month. So this question was asked to a lot of amazing people who came on the show. What are your top advice for budding female entrepreneurs or leaders?
Just do it. If you have an idea, just pursue it. I feel that I've been lucky enough to have met so many women entrepreneurs and mother entrepreneurs or want people who want to do something, but they're like, oh, I have children and it's so much time, and if you want to do it, just do it, and you will find the time. And I think regardless of male, female, parent, not a parent, entrepreneurship is hard, but you have to find a way within your own limitations, within your own life, whatever your responsibilities are, find that balance that works for you. Maybe it won't grow as fast as you would have liked to, but that is the situation you have. So you have to manage with what you have. So I always, especially with mothers, say, if you want to do it, just do it, and you'll find a way. You will find a way to make it work for you.
Right, right. I also I'm a big proponent of female entrepreneur leaders because they are good at everything, running organizations, homes, managing finances. I think it should be cake for all those female entrepreneurs who should come out. Fantastic. So my final question, which I ask every guest of mine, because this show started during this COVID-19. So COVID-19 has brought up mixed feelings for everybody. I have been hearing good things happening to businesses, some people struggling. So how has COVID-19 treated Seema as well as cooks who feed?
So there's been good and bad. When everything kind of stopped happening in March, in Canada, it was around early March when all these restrictions started to come in place. what happened was, well, we had contracts with culinary schools, with caterers, with restaurants. So all that within a week stopped. So that was scary because we were just, a few months into starting our business, and then all of a sudden, all these orders just stopped. Because obviously we targeted the hospitality space because they require aprons to run their business.
Right.
So that all stopped within a week. So that actually was quite terrifying to kind of think, okay, how are we going to, grow? Because I really wanted to have both channels, the selling to customers and selling to businesses. But that made us focus on companies doing corporate gifting. That made us focus on, we sell a lot to realtors, real estate agents, because when they sell a home, they usually give a gift, and it's a housewarming gift. So we thought, what better housewarming gift than an apron, right? So they include that in their gift baskets. So I just started getting on the phone and calling all these realtors and saying, we do consider buying us and buying our aprons. And so I think companies have become more, or trying to be more socially responsible during the pandemic, and just learning from what we've learned during the pandemic, which has helped our corporate side, like our corporate gifting side. But the hospitality industry is still really suffering. So we've seen those revenues have basically just disappeared, right? I'm hopeful that when, the culinary students go back to school, when restaurants reopen, that will pick up. But I think it'll be a while. And the other issue that we faced was because there was a lockdown in India. I'm like, there was no production. So luckily I did have some inventory already here in our warehouse, but it was quite scary not knowing, okay, how long is this going to go on? Because it happened right all of a sudden. It was supposed to just be a few days, and then it was very long. And then also just thinking about our ladies that work with us, right? How do we create a safe environment for them? So that was scary too. And also during the pandemic, during the lockdown, we were worried about, do they have enough food for them and their families? So there was a lot of mixed emotions going on when it first happened, when the lockdown happened. But as the year has gone on, we've seen things pick up. And now, like, our production team, luckily everyone is healthy. There haven't been any issues. They've started to make masks, which is great for themselves, their family, and to be sold, which is great. So it started off very scary, and then it got better.
Fantastic. I hope the trajectory goes up and onwards from here. So thank you so much, Seema, for taking time and, in the early morning and coming on the show. It was such a pleasure hearing about you and Cooks Who Feed. Obviously, I will be a cheerleader for Cooks Who Feed wherever possible, in whichever capacity possible. And I wish you all the best for the months and years ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Vivek. Take care.
Take care. Bye. All right. So that was Seema Sanghavi, founder of Cooks Who Feed. Guys, what an innovative concept, right? I got goosebumps hearing about the kind of impact one organization, small organization, is creating. So guys, check out cookswhofeed.com and support them in whichever capacity possible, right? And I believe this was a helpful session, and I hope to bring more fantastic guests here onwards. And this was episode 24 of SMB Talks. See you all next week with another guest. Take care. Stay safe.